It's Monday, November 15th, 2010. I'm Rim, and this is Geeknights. Tonight, the internets.
Let's do this.
Woman, it is dark.
Yeah, it's the sun. It is not up.
I'm not enjoying this. I mean, I work like 7 to 4, and it's dark when I get home at like 4:05.
I don't know why they don't go with my strategy, right?
Daylight saving time all the time?
No, I actually have a better strategy.
Double daylight savings time?
Exactly, right?
DDD?
We should leave daylight savings time as is.
Daylight saving time. There's no S.
Whatever. We should leave that as is, but then on the other, right, and we're at the quote normal time, which is what we have now, right? Aren't we currently in normal time?
Yes, we're in normal time.
We should make normal time actually an hour earlier than daylight savings time. It should be double daylight savings time.
I just think in general,
and then daylight savings time could be normal time.
We should go back to when it was such that we switched to daylight saving time and we never switched back because it's awesome. It's always better to be on DST.
Oh, here's another idea, right? How about this? How about we just, when it's not double daylight savings time,
saving
whatever.
Ubuntu.
Like if I owned a company right now, I'd be like, hey, everyone, guess what? We're just going to work from 7 to 3 because it's bullshit.
I would do that except, well, one, I'd be like, yeah, work 7 to 9. Or work until you finish your work and then go home. But no, stock market's open 9:30 to 4, so I'm kind of...
So even if your company was cool, I mean, it's a stock market company, so they can't change the market hours.
However, the day after Thanksgiving every year, and every year I forget about this until like right before it happens, the market's only open a half day. So I get a half day.
I get a 0 day. One of the few 0 days I get.
Yeah, because you technically worked from home while we were in Boston that week. I used a week of vacation. I'm out of vacation days.
Well, I wouldn't use a vacation day and a half day anyway, even though you'd only have to use half a vacation day.
But if I work a full day, I get a vacation day. Yeah.
How about that? Anyway,
it's dark.
Yeah.
It's messing up my mojo.
I'm not a fan, really.
Of course, being brilliant, I bought my bike lights right before the end of biking season. They're sitting in my drawer.
Yeah, I know. I stopped biking about a month ago. I'll start again when it's warm again.
Yeah, so we stopped biking. It's super nice out today.
I know, right? What can I do about that? I already bought an unlimited subway pass, and I had to go to this conference thing, so I wasn't about to bike today.
Nah.
I'll bike again as soon as the, March.
So I got some tech news that I think is worth talking about, but I want to take an aside.
An aside?
I was looking at this as a thing of the day because, I like those nerd kind of tests. Like, remember that old, super nerd test that was, all text, 1,000 questions long?
No.
Really? That was, kind of a big internet culture thing in the late 90s.
Never heard of it.
Really?
Really?
Made your geek tag out of it, your nerd tag, any of that stuff?
No.
Wow. Did you ever hang out on Usenet?
No.
Oh. Okay. Anyway, so InfoWorld, which ostensibly, and I say ostensibly because we know that is in fact not true, knows something about technology.
I mean, it is a technology magazine.
And they made their 2010 InfoWorld Geek IQ test.
Well, apparently they made a 2009 one also that shows up in a Google search.
So I saw it and I was like, all right, I'll take this test. It'll be funny, be a thing of the day. It'll be cool, something we can all take and share our scores. This test proved to me a couple of things. One, whoever wrote it has no idea what Linux is or how it works.
Well, I mean...
Or he's probably not used Linux since about 1997.
This is one of those situations where it's like somebody just throws something together, right? For, just because they want to throw it together, right? They're not actually trying hard at it. They're not trying to make it good. They're just trying to get some hits. This probably got them a lot of hits last year. They're probably like, hey, let's do it again this year to get the same awesome number of hits we got last year.
But what?
Some guy just slapped it together 1, 2, 3 real quick. Easy peasy. Took him 10 minutes at work so you can go play solitaire again.
See, but I'm going to go one step further.
And it totally worked and got a bunch of hits, and now you're talking about it.
That is probably true. Actually, only less than 200 people noted it in Facebook, and it's actually not getting that many hits as far as I can see.
For InfoWorld, that's a lot of hits.
But it shows something more interesting. Whoever it is who actually made this thing clearly is a mediocre to average Windows IT sysadmin who has used Linux but does not know anything about Linux and probably either played D&D or more likely knows someone in the office who has played D&D and asked him for a question.
Yeah. Also, this is a person who doesn't understand what IQ means, right? I mean, at least if you're obviously you can call it an IQ test, and it's never going to be a legitimate IQ test, but you could at least make it resemble an IQ test. 90% of these questions, or at least most of them, are basically, do you know this, do you have this fact memorized?
But it's not
if
even that.
If not, search on Google and you'll find out.
The facts themselves are just very, old, busted Windows system centric.
Maybe that's just the audience for InfoWorld is that kind of person.
That's what I was getting to. My conclusion based on all of this is that InfoWorld is out of touch and is basically the magazine for people who learn Windows administration in 1999.
Yeah.
And have touched Linux once or twice. I mean, 10 base 2, really?
Seriously.
I was taken aback by this to where I wanted to call it out for being stupid.
It is quite the stupid test.
So whoever wrote this, if this comes to you, the wind of our anger, I'd like to talk to you. I'd like to find out more about why you made this.
And of course, if anyone wants to just make fun of Rim, just say, "Oh, Rim, you're just calling the test stupid because you sucked at it."
I got 16 out of 20.
If you got all of them right, you would have said it was an awesome
test. All right,
so
I missed number 3. How much RAM does 32-bit Windows 2008 server handle? Because I didn't fucking know.
The only question I really wanted to dispute.
I got arrow wrong because that's bullshit. Who cares?
The only question I wanted to dispute is the final question, question 20, and it says, which of the following has the best chance to protect your users' identities? And the choices were like virus, scanner, spyware detector, Rocco the Bodyguard, and something else. And the fact is, I have a strong argument that Rocco the Bodyguard can protect the user's identity better than a spyware detector, because what will happen is anytime the user goes to type in their name or any personal information into their computer,
Rocco will hit them in the face.
Rocco will hit them in the face. And it won't matter how much spyware or viruses are on the computer. If Rocco prevents them from typing in any personal information on the keyboard, that will perfectly protect the user's identity. Even with a spyware detector, if Rocco's not there, if they type in any personal information to any website ever, they've basically just given away everything. So the correct answer is Rocco the Bodyguard. So they didn't even get all their answers right,
Especially interesting was the question about how do you restart a printer service on a none of the answers actually really work on modern systems, and the real answer is you go into your GUI and you hit restart.
Yeah. Or you go to the web interface and push the restart button.
This was kind of like punching a guy in a wheelchair, but so you have any real news?
I have a real news. It's sort of a news. It's on thestar.com, which I assume is a local newspaper.
The Orlando Star?
It just says The Star.
That's the only star I know.
I can't really tell where this is from.
Orion?
It's a Toronto Star. It's a Toronto newspaper. Anyway, they have an article. I think it might. Oh, it's a staff reporter, so it's not even AP. Good for them.
Whoa.
At least it says Cathal Kelly, staff reporter. And basically, this article doesn't talk about anything new. I just wanted to discuss the things that we already, this old news, but I want to discuss it, right?
But how old news? Are we talking like 90s vintage, 80s?
Well, I mean, first of all, the article
1880s?
was published on December 30th, 2009. Right?
Wow.
And second of all,
that's so retro.
The information in this article is information that I've known since 2000. So this is like decade-old news, but it's new for a lot of people
Do you hear
out
what you
there.
just said? 1999, 2000, that's a decade.
Yeah.
We're old.
So anyway, basically what this article talks about is how Israeli airports, pretty much, there's only one of them, right? This is only one really important one.
Oh, so this is airport security, isn't it?
Yeah, which I went to in the year 2000, right? So I know all about it.
Well, you know all about it from a decade ago.
It hasn't changed that much. Basically, they have incredible security. It's like off the charts in terms of how safe it is.
One of the places that is most likely to have problems.
They have basically problems all the time. It's basically like this huge target, and it hasn't been breached since 2002. When somebody accidentally carried a handgun onto a flight. It wasn't even a terrorist or anything.
I can just picture a guy, the Secret Service busts in and they're going to kick his ass. He's like, dude, sorry, my mistake. Here's my gun.
And basically, they have no lines, at least not compared to us, right? And there's a few things here. I mean, if you want the actual details of how they make it more secure, right, you can read this article. And it talks about how most of what they do is they just look at people, like look them in the eyes and talk to them. Because if you're a terrorist, you're going to be mad nervous. And if you're mad nervous, watch out, because they're just going to run out and grab you, right? But if you're just a normal person, like, what's up? Yeah, I'm going to friggin', New York. They'd be like, all right, go on.
Well, I have this funny feeling that there's some things they don't do that we could probably learn. I'll bet they don't frisk paraplegics.
No, they don't really, right? What they
Babies.
do, the one secure thing that they do is they scan your bags basically immediately, right? It's like you bring a bag in, scan it. right?
You know,
And-
that might be a good idea because there's a bigger line in security
Well,
than there is
also,
anywhere else in the airport.
In the places where there are lines, the lines are staggered, so you can't attack the line itself, right? You could attack a small portion of the line, but you couldn't get all these people in line all at once.
See, now that's smart. That makes sense.
Gee, gasp, they're smart. Anyway, and when they scan the bags, right, basically, let's say there was a bag. Let's say you're in the JetBlue terminal at JFK, right?
Yep.
And they were scanning a bag and it had a bomb in it.
Bowling ball candle.
Bowling ball candle. What would they do? What would the TSA do if they saw a bomb in the X-ray machine?
Probably go, and then call for a supervisor to come over and go,
No, well, they would have to evacuate the whole place, right? Because
yeah, once they actually say, yes, it's a bomb for sure.
Right, they had to-
They would probably ground
You
every
have to-
goddamn flight,
Well,
cancel everything.
the point is that at the bare minimum, you have to evacuate the whole terminal because that bomb is threatening the entire area where the people are crowded, right?
Yeah, but I have a feeling that flights would be stopped for like a day.
So the Israeli people, right, when they're scanning these bags, they're in a little room. And the room can withstand like a ton of explosion, before actually, getting out of the room. It's not a, bomb-proof room, but it's a strong
it's like
room.
my watch. It's not waterproof. It's
And
water
then,
resistant.
basically, the people that are in the room doing the scanning, they're trained, if they see something suspicious, to drop it in the bomb box, which is basically a blast-proof box.
I want a bomb box.
It's basically an invincible box. They drop their they'll take your bag, they'll toss it in the bomb-proof box.
And then they call the experts to come and deal with it.
And then they'll leave the room. And then a bomb squad will just come and take the bomb box away.
I'll bet when that happens, you're not even delayed. Unless it's
No.
your bag.
Unless it's your bag. Unless it's your bag. You just keep going in line.
See, I actually have something to say. I mean, aside from all the obvious in America,
And they
we're
don't
really
check
stupid.
your shoes. They don't check any of that
Well,
bullshit.
the shoe thing about the shoe thing. One dude
They
tried
don't
to set
grope
his
your
shoes on
ass.
fire once. And actually, I saw all these, like, we got a notice at work even about how this holiday season, because they have the backscatter, which actually not being,
There are things now where they say it's not safe.
yeah, I was going to say straight up, not being, like, pseudoscience aside, there are legitimate health and safety concerns about those backscatter machines, and I would not consent to going through one.
I would also not go through one.
So there is a national opt-out day, because apparently, at least
I
now,
thought that all the pilots were opting out.
yeah, they are. There's a big, but now passengers can opt out too. The rule,
Well, you
unless
could
they
always
change
opt
it,
out.
is that if you opt out, then they'll grope you, and they fucking grope you. They even warn you that your genitals will be touched.
All right. I should be like, hey.
No, you know what you should do? Utilikilt, no underwear. And Fark had the added bonus of don't wipe.
They
It's
wear
not a
gloves. They wear gloves.
Yeah, but that would still make at least one Farker's
I'm not
day.
going to give myself a diaper rash.
No, I'm not going to ruin my Utilikilt.
But I would gladly, I'll let him grope me. I'll be like,
No, but think about this. If everyone opts out, it's a disaster for the airport. An absolute disaster. They don't have enough
well, because they
people.
don't send everyone through that machine, so not everyone has the opportunity to opt out. Most people just go through normal like.
Yeah.
It's only some people get sent to the machine.
I mean, what else can I say? I'm sick of this bullshit. I only fly because it's the only viable
But
way to get to
anyway,
Seattle.
basically, why did the airport in Israel do this, right? Why didn't they do it the way we do it? Well, basically, what happened was, and this is what I really want to touch on here, all right, is that originally they had the kind of security we had, and basically, this is like 50 years ago, by the way, right? And the Israelis were like, half-hour wait. Fuck that shit. And they were pissed and they were angry and they were like, fuck you, right? And the big problem, I think, is that people in the US and also Canadians, it says right here, we're just too nice. It's like, we'll be like, okay, okay, I'm not gonna start a fuss.
All right,
right?
no.
An Israeli guy would just be like, you want to grope me? I dare you to grope me. I'll just punch your lights out. Fuck you.
Here's I think why. I don't think Americans are nice. I think Americans are afraid of getting arrested.
Well, I mean,
I'm real nice to the TSA mouth breathers.
Well, that's another factor, right? Is that the Israelis, right? These people doing the scanning, right? And this is one of the reasons why I don't think it'll work in America.
Trained
right?
professionals?
Trained professional, of course. Because, look, they're looking at people in the eyes, asking them questions, and judging them. This takes a skilled, intelligent person who.
Sir, you've got a bowling ball candle in your bag. What the fuck?
Yeah, well, this is before. This is like when you're in your car, you drive up to the airport, someone comes over and looks at you and judges you, gives you, evaluates you by looking at you and judging your mannerisms, right? This takes a trained professional, someone who is not just a minimum wage TSA person, I'm sure there are plenty of TSA people who are not minimum wage morons, but there are many who are.
You know what? Even if they're smart, it's not like they have any discretion.
And the Israelis,
it's not like they can
right?
be like, I'll do it smartly.
Israel has mandatory military service, right? So everyone pretty much is a security professional.
See, actually,
and the people who have this as their job, right? Everyone, it's like they're trusting them because they're all skilled. It's like, it's like if you're all military guys and there's military guys, scanning your bags, it's like you trust that they're professionals because, you're a professional and they're with you, right? But when you're in the U.S., you don't trust the TSA. They're all morons, and you're right not to trust them.
I don't even trust them with my bag.
So the fact, it's because you don't trust them, right? You need a procedure that you can trust because you don't trust the people. Or in Israel,
wait,
in Israel, you can
Scott.
trust the people, so they don't really need the procedure that's
No, Scott, we can't trust the people, so we make a procedure that theoretically we can trust.
Yes,
like zero tolerance policies in our schools.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like pretty much everything in our society. So, two problems this illustrates. Number one, we're too damn nice. You got to get pissed off and be a bad.
You've got to get mad.
Even if you don't, a lot of people, they just have the opinion that, like, you have to be nice. Being nice is important. Look at, like, the whole south of the U.S. where they value having good manners, even if they're actually racist.
Wait, now, Scott.
Not that all of them are.
You might go a little too far. I'm happy with the fact that when I'm in line at Starbucks and the guy in front of me is slightly delayed, he doesn't flip the fuck out.
You don't need to flip the fuck out. There's such thing as going too far, right?
I don't even want to hear him yell. I just want him to just quietly be like, thanks, and then I get my coffee.
No, but I'm saying is that there is, like, for example, right, there is a line, right? I mean, like, you can't be, it's not a good idea to just flip out and be unproductively angry and disruptive.
Actually,
right?
now I take that back. I want to see people flip the fuck out because I just remembered the last time I actually saw someone flip the fuck out in line. You know what?
It was awesome.
It was hilarious.
No, right, but flipping out and yelling and making a scene are not productive.
But at the
same time,
didn't have whipped cream in it.
Right, whatever.
That was the end.
But at the same time, just being tolerant and taking it up the ass willingly and then saying thanks, right, and having good manners about it is also not helping. If something is inconveniencing to the point that it's a problem, you need to be like, hey, this is a problem. If Starbucks is taking too long, just leave without paying.
Yeah, well here's the problem with that. One, Starbucks, if you have a problem, you go to leave. They not only do they not care, but they give you a thing. They'll give you free coffee at any Starbucks.
That's true. But that's a good reason to be rude at the Starbucks. Just because
it's got tragedy of the commons. It actually works out pretty well. The problem still,
but it was not. Look, in Israel, everyone was so angry about a half-hour wait that it fixed things. It didn't break them.
Here's where I disagree with you because it's not that Americans are nice. We're not, by and large. It's that we're afraid of getting arrested and we don't have an alternative to flying.
That's also true, is that, anyone in Israel only really flies to go somewhere else other than Israel, whereas in the United States, right?
I fly almost everywhere.
You have to fly to get anywhere because it's so damn big, and I think that is, that's one of the fundamental problems of why is the U.S. not different from all other places. It's because it's so goddamn geographically big. Even someplace like Russia, you'd be like, oh, Russia's geographically big. China's geographically big.
Yeah, no one lives out there.
No one lives out in the, right? It's like people don't live in Siberia. You take Russia, it's like, well, where's the places where people actually live? Well, really only this area. Oh, well, it's not so big then, is it? I mean, it's still big, but it's not as big.
Of course, we could have those things if we localized them.
It's like China. People really only live mostly on the East Coast.
Like I hope this initiative to have high-speed rail actually comes to fruition in the Northeast. Imagine if we had high-speed rail connecting all the major cities in the northeastern seaboard.
I use that shit all the time.
Yeah. Actually, now, Bolt Bus.
Yeah, Bolt Bus is
pretty
good.
I'm not flying to Animate Boston, at least. I don't think I'll fly to PAX East. We got to sort that out.
We'll figure it out. Anyway, if you didn't know this stuff already, because this is old news, it's now it's new news to you. So.
But I highly recommend, if nothing else, opt out if you can. If don't let them backscatter you.
Yeah, and don't be groped instead. And enjoy the groping.
So you want to have some real fun? As soon as they grope you, scream.
Dude, I got a better idea. Ready?
Yeah.
Chop them off, be a eunuch, and then get groped. They'll be like, what?
Yeah, that's worth it.
Or, no, even better, just cross-dress and go for the groping. Much easier.
That's brilliant.
Because then you're a dude, you'll get a girl,
All right,
you'll
kids.
get the other person to grope you.
Every single one of you cross players who flies to an anime con, wear your shit on the plane. This is going to be awesome.
You're just going to be like, all right, I'll get groped. They'll be like, go right this way, ma'am. And it's like you go and you get, the girl comes to grope you and, yup, that's right.
So,
or, right, even just as good, right? You're dressed like a woman, right? Or you're dressed as the opposite and you go to the correct person. So you're a girl, you look like a girl, you go up to get groped by the guy and he's like, and he gropes you in this junk and you give him like a wink.
every vision of this in my head is Willem Dafoe.
So you can get a lot of good stuff going on there.
So I don't want to talk about this too much because we have to actually see. This is going to be staged in over time, like in the coming months. But the headlines were Facebook's making a Gmail killer, which is not true, not even close to true. Basically, Facebook is trying to make a product called ICQ all over again and integrated with Facebook. Basically, Facebook, originally the announcement was for all the Facebook's making an email system to compete with Gmail. It's actually much more interesting than that. And the TLDR version of this, or I guess TLDL,
No,
didn't listen.
Oh, okay.
TLDL, too long didn't listen, is that what they're making is a good idea for people who don't understand technology and don't use the technology they already have effectively. It is not that useful for people who do both of these things. They're adding a sort of email you can use through Facebook that has a social inbox, which is basically a filtered inbox. So instead of getting all your mail in one inbox, all your social mail, meaning anything that came from any of your friends, goes into one mailbox, and everything else goes into a general mailbox. Of course, it's Facebook, going to be full of spam.
Why could you just do that with a Gmail filter?
Oh, yeah, you could. So it automatically will show you anything from a friend or a friend of a friend, the bane of Orchid. So we'll see how that goes. And you can like kick people out of your inbox and back in, and you can import people. The other thing it's doing, and again, these are all just incremental improvements that are being done together, is aggregation, much like what the Palm Pre did, where if I SMS you and you G-Talk me back, it just keeps it all in one stream.
Oh, it's like Google Voice.
Yeah.
And Google plus Gmail plus Google Talk.
So they're doing that a little bit better in that they're actually just making one contiguous stream, but the way they're doing it is really geared towards short conversations. It's pretty much exactly what ICQ was, only it's as though you had ICQ on every possible device all the time. And the weird part is the third aspect of this is the box of letters. And they make this point that in the old days, wouldn't it be great if you had a record of every conversation you ever had with your best friend or with your girlfriend and now your wife? Yeah, I do too. And they're like, I
deleted a bunch of them over time, but I still have a lot.
They're like, my grandma had that. It was called a box of letters. And no one does that anymore. And it's so sad. And all I could think was, I have every chat and email I've ever exchanged in my entire life.
Yeah.
All the way back to when I first got an ICQ account.
I don't have all of them ever, but I still have a lot of them. And I had logs at various times, and I just deleted or got rid of them or whatever. But I still have...
Hey, I'm that guy with the hat who was at the gaming night. You want to go to the anime club after dinner at Gracie's?
Yeah.
That is the first thing I ever chatted to you.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Did you just look that up now?
Yeah. Well, I looked it up a little while ago because I knew I wanted to talk about this.
Oh, okay.
But... basically, they're taking all these things.
Why don't you get the hat again?
That I got the hat around somewhere. Actually, Emily got me a new hat that's much more comfortable than that one.
You're gonna strap a wooden dinosaur to it?
Don't remind me about that guy, or else I have to talk about Duck Boy.
You're gonna strap a wooden duck to the hat.
Wow, the
rubber. You should strap a rubber ducky to the head.
That was a decade ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Facebook's thing is going to make people who are already Facebook people more Facebook people. It's not going to affect other people. And it's actually a good feature, but it's not a Gmail killer. It's not anything new even. It's just Facebook doing incremental and obvious improvements.
You know what I don't like is this trend now of rolling out a feature to some people and then some more people and some more people, right? Because Twitter did this with the new Twitter look.
Yeah.
And it's like the people who, it was so random. It was like people who actually used Twitter and wanted it just wouldn't get it. Like I didn't get it for the longest time, but other people got it right away. It's like, and they took them so, I mean, obviously it's better for keeping their systems up and to test things out.
I didn't know. I thought people were stupid. One day, I see all these tweets like, what the fuck's wrong with my Twitter?
And to expose people to like less, bugs. Because it's always good to, in a beta, you want to do, the reason they do betas and stages is because what happens with a beta is you put a beta out and everyone reports the same exact bug. And then you fix it. And it's like those people already reported a bug. They're not reporting anymore. So you got to roll it out to even new people, and they'll report the second bug. And it's basically each wave gets one more bug reported almost, you know.
Yep, I like NS too. Every time there's a new build, I play it once, I hit a game breaker, I report it, and
So
I'm
like
done.
the thing is, a slow release is very, very good for the company doing the release, right? You know, for many reasons, like it won't bring their systems down and they can test things out. And if there is a bug, they expose fewer users to it to decrease people being upset. And it's easy to roll back and undo because you got both things up at the same time and working simultaneously, right? But it's much better for the users if you find some way for them to be like, you know, like a good example of the right way to do it is Ustream, right? Ustream's like, hey, try our beta show page if you want. And it's like you can click beta show page to use the newer, better page at any time. But most or good YouTube with HTML5. You want to use YouTube HTML5? Go for it, right? But we're not switching everyone over. And so it's like they put it out there. Anyone who wants to use it can use it. And anyone who doesn't know or doesn't care doesn't. And that's the better way to roll out, I think, because it makes it accessible to everyone who wants it immediately. They don't have to wait. Right? They're not saying, where the hell's the new Twitter? Where's the hell this new feature? Everyone's got the new feature right now. But, you know, you can still get the same effect of rolling it out slowly where instead of having everyone in the world use it immediately and then it goes down.
So things to watch for with this to see where this is going to go is how quickly they roll it out and how quickly it gets spammed to fuck.
Yeah.
Those two factors will determine whether or not this succeeds.
How quickly people stop, you know, using, you know, or how much more do they stop using their other communication things?
Yeah, because I've noticed this trend among even the front row crew, like our personal group of friends. In college, I used ICQ, and about half of us used that, and the other half of the school used AIM. And eventually AIM won out for various reasons.
And then ICQ died.
Yep,
but
and
then
became AIM.
Google Talk came in. So now it's like half Google Talk, half AIM. And even though a bunch of people have gone over to Google Talk, there's still a bunch of AIM.
But even worse, a lot of the people I know who are otherwise really techie, cool, smart people just aren't ever online in any sort of IM system anymore.
Yeah, people have basically, IM is almost dead. It's like people just use Facebook and that's it.
Which is interesting
in a way. They don't even check their emails.
Because the way I used instant messaging, the only reason AIM worked was because my computer was always on. But with ICQ, the only difference really that mattered in this context was that you could send a message and it would be delivered once someone came online if they weren't online, automatically. So as a result, it was like like you could talk to someone, but if they weren't there, you could just send them a message anyway, and you'd know they would get it eventually. And it was kind of this, you know, on demand, you can talk when you want, conversations will start and stop over the course of a day. And IM, as we have it now, doesn't do that very well, actually.
No.
And Facebook and things like it do that much better. But Facebook is the stupid walled garden problem, and Twitter is the wrong tool for that.
Yeah, and the problem is that, you know, even if you could make something that was a much better IMing tool, like you just made the perfect IMing
it's
server,
great, and I'm the only one on it.
Yeah, no one's going to use it because you don't have it's the thing is because it's the same sort of situation we're having with Facebook now is the problem we had with Windows in 1995, right? Windows was so dominant that anything they attached to Windows immediately got all these people on it, right? AOL being on the Windows desktop just was like, boom, IE being the built into Windows, boom, it made IE an instant success. So now, because everyone's on Facebook, because it's Facebook is just anything they put on Facebook is also, it wins because it's on the Facebooks, right?
Yep.
And it's really hard for anything that isn't on the Facebooks to have any sort of competitions, really. And the Twitter, you know, Twitter came out and went 04, I don't know, 07. 07 was Twitter, right? So even though Facebook was older than that, it was still, Facebook was not as dominant as it is now.
Well,
right?
I think what the next thing is going to be, at least the thing for us, the thing that'll actually change things, will be when people start seriously making ways of integrating and aggregating things from all these walled gardens to where I can have my one thing.
But that's the thing is every walled garden is smart enough to have openness in terms of, you know, you can build on our platform in a way that benefits us by building on our platform, but you cannot build on our platform. And they limit it in very smart ways to prevent you from basically taking all your information out of their platform and dumping them, right? So, for example, if Facebook let you, you know, and this is what the Facebook-Google fight was about recently. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Basically, Facebook had a thing like, hey, find friends using your Google contacts. And Google was like, all right, listen, we're not going to let you use our Google contacts information anymore unless you start giving us your Facebook information, right? It's only fair. And Facebook was like, all right, stop and they're like, we'll just set this different page up where people are instructed to download their Google contacts and then upload them to Facebook on one easy-to-do page. And Google basically said, all right, you can do that, but we're going to put a big old message that tells the users, like, hey, are you sure you want to download your Google contacts and send it to Facebook? Because they're not going to let you export your contacts ever again. Because what could happen is if Facebook let you export that stuff, right? If Facebook let you export your data, I could set up a social networking site tomorrow where you would sign in with Facebook Connect. It would export all your Facebook data to this other site, and you can close your Facebook account. And I'd actually have a pretty significant chance if I was able to copy all those features of Facebook of people jumping ship.
Or what I would do, much more, I guess, more practical, as in I think this will actually happen. If you bust in and get integration to work, smart people like us will have our whatever account, and it just publishes to all the stupid walled gardens that have an account in all of them.
Yeah, publishing to is never a problem. They love information coming in.
Yeah, but I need the stuff to come back.
They don't like that.
I could get a Facebook and have all my stuff just go into Facebook, but then you assholes are going to like message me in Facebook, and I'm not going to get it, and I don't want to deal with setting that up.
Yeah, basically what I've done is I have, Facebook emails me on occasion, and that's the only time I ever look at it. Is if it sends me an email. So I never check the Facebook, but I get emails from the Facebook that have links to the Facebook.
I have a hidden shitty Facebook account that I only use to look at other people's crap when I need to.
I have a Twitter that sends to a Facebook, right? But I don't actually ever post manually on the Facebook itself, so whatever.
So things of the day. The old myth that you can't swim out of Alcatraz, like those people who theoretically escaped couldn't have swum it?
It's not that far. Can't you see it from the shore?
It's actually a pretty easy swim.
If you can see it from the shore, you could totally swim it.
Like, it's not depends. I mean,
there are people who have swum like the English Channel. It can't be farther than that.
Distance alone actually is not a big factor in that sort of thing, as opposed to...
Oh, you're saying that the waters are rough.
Water temperature, water roughness, and currents actually are the primary issues in trying to do a swim like that.
Also sharks.
But...
And octopuses.
Basically, this
and
is
giant
cool
squids.
for anyone who thinks
and
that
Cthulhu.
Somehow Alcatraz was impoable or difficult to swim out of.
Jellyfish.
Here's a video of a 9-year-old boy swimming from Alcatraz to San Francisco.
It was a
9-year-old boy.
Was it a nice day?
It was kind of choppy.
Was he like his parents trained him to swim from early age so he could be the next Michael Phelps?
I don't know. He said it was real cold.
Yeah, when did he do this? Recently?
Yeah.
Why didn't he do it in the summer?
I don't know.
Dumbass. Whatever.
That's all I got.
That's all you got? All right.
I didn't want to use just like one of my College Humor cute animals.
Right. So I had a different thing of the day, but I think it might have been a thing of the day before.
Oh, dude, there's one guy who swam it 737 times.
So anyway, I know this hasn't been a thing of the day before. Basically, have you ever had to write a program that that speaks to another, computer over a serial port, RS-232?
I have.
Have you?
Yeah.
Well, basically, right, whenever you do, I've done this before as well. You have some protocol, right? This is what the packets are going to, maybe, this is what it's going to look like. This is going to be the control cat, right?
Yeah, you got to agree to
You got to set the baud rate, and you got to do...
You both have to agree to it or have some sort of way of negotiating
You got to do all this stuff, right? And it's not that hard, right? I mean, especially on a Unix system, it's like you find the file, you open the file, you write to it, you read from it, you buffer the incoming data, you buffer the outgoing data, maybe you resend, you come up with some protocol and you just do it, right? But it has a lot of these things that you have to code every single time that are bullshit. Well, somebody has written a programming language called Any Serial Port. You just go to anyserialport.com, and it's a serial port programming language. And basically, all the things that you do every single time you want to talk over a serial port in your program, it basically just provides easy commands to do it. So, for example, if you want to check if your serial port is open or closed, if you want to, buffer incoming data, if you want to convert a string to an array of bytes, all this stuff that you do every single time, all the time, whenever you're doing any program involving serial ports, it just makes it easy to do commands to handle all that shit. And it makes writing any program that speaks over serial RS-232 really, really easy.
232.
It makes it really easy to do.
It's actually not RS anymore. It's an actual standard. It's no longer a recommended standard.
Whatever. It makes it really easy to do, even if you aren't like a hardcore programmer. So, if you want to like plug some sort of device into your computer on a serial port, this this will let you talk to it. Get some Arduino. This will work well with that.
Yeah, I remember when I learned all that stuff worked. My original computer, my 486 SX2, had documentation for everything, including its 2400 baud modem.
Yeah. The only thing with this is it's sort of Microsoft centric, right? So
yeah, well, I never actually coded anything in Windows. I mean, whenever I used the serial port in Windows, I would basically open HyperTerminal and just connect directly and just type direct commands to whatever I was
like
messing
if you look
with.
at this feature list, it's like, supports all major Windows platforms, redistributable as part of your .NET application. So it's data export file or any ODBC compatible database, MSQL, Oracle, Access, Excel, DBase, right? So it's like pretty Microsoft centric, but even so, it's a pretty good idea, especially if you're a serial port kind of person.
Well, serial ports are still actually fairly useful just because of the fact that they're really simple and it's really easy to do physical stuff on the other side.
Yep.
Like it's the thresholds of current and voltage for data are real big, and the timing is actually really easy to sort out.
Mm-hmm.
Like making a device that'll just take in USB, unless you just buy pre-made stuff, not so easy actually.
Yeah, this also has an awesome GUI going on, so it's really easy for normal people.
Ah.
Like you'll be shocked how easy this is.
You are shocked?
Compared to writing it in C, which is what I usually do.
The most I used my 2400 baud modem for, though, was connecting to BBSs until eventually I upgraded to a 33.6. I used the null modem to play Doom 2 with my brother.
I had a 14.4 modem, but then I eventually got a 56K external USB modem, which I think I still have somewhere. Maybe I got rid of it.
I remember trying to explain to my parents why I needed a null modem. And then I finally convinced them. We went to Radio Shack, we bought it, we went home, and I hooked the two computers up, and we played Quake, and they were actually pretty amazed by that.
Yeah.
Because there was no internet back then, at least not like we have now. There was dial-up. Kind of. It didn't work that well. So, we might have done shows about things like this in the past, but especially now with the peer-to-peer battles really heating up, a lot of people don't seem to actually understand what the internet is. It's starting to bother me.
Well, I got the idea to do this show because people didn't know what Internet 2 was. So we got to start before we even talk about what that is. We got to start with the beginning.
Internet what? Well, ARPANET?
Yeah, why not?
So, I want to do the TLDR version. Internet 2 is awesome. The internet is capitalized because it's a proper noun. The internet capitalized is an internet.
Yes.
An internet is a collection of networks that are themselves networked.
Yeah, so a network is just things connected to each other. It could be two people. It doesn't have to be people. It could be people, computers, any things that are connected and communicating is a network, right? But an intranet, right? Lowercase I, intranet is when you have a network that is closed off.
Now, technically, that's just an internal network. An intranet usually means that you have multiple networks that are themselves networked, but they are not connected to anything else.
Yes, but that's
pedantry.
Yes, that is still a network, right?
Yes.
Because you can consider, what's the difference between that big, okay, so I have an office building in New York and I have an office building in California and I have an OC3 going between them.
That's a WAN.
And there's a network. Yeah, I know, right? It's many things at once, though, right? Because on the one hand, the network in New York is a network, and the network in California is a network, and they're connected, so that's an intranet. The two networks are now intra-networked, but at the same time, both of them together are connected, so the whole thing is a network. Right?
Now, if you want to get into the real pedantic bullshit details, it also matters as to whether or not they share namespaces and IP spaces.
Yeah, and what if if the New York office is split between like the sales staff and the tech staff? Well, that's an intranet because you've split them into two. Or
if you've got multiple, like a lot of good production IT environments, you have multiple completely segregated networks. Like you have the main interface network that everything connects to. That's how you SSH into your servers. And then you've got the monitoring backplane. Maybe you've got even a second backplane that is just for data transfers or just for backups. I didn't bother with that here because now that Scott and I don't live in the same place and it's just me and Emily, and now that everything's just gigabit, it doesn't really matter. But back in the day, I was thinking about making a separate network in the house just for internal data transfers.
Yeah.
Not so important now.
No, not important now. Actually, I transferred something by gigabit over to my HD PC the other day.
Yep.
It took 5 minutes for a whole bunch of gigs. It was
Aw,
awesome.
man.
Ah, sweet. Anyway.
I got to make an HD PC. That Mac's not holding up anymore.
No.
But anyway, what's real important here, and I really want people to remember this, internet is capitalized because the internet is very, very different from an internet.
Yeah, un-internet is, is internetworked networks, right? It can form un-internet. Can be many internets, but there is only one capital I internet, which is the internet.
However, there is the internet too, which is not itself. That name does not specify an internet so much as it specifies a consortium of people who together have created an alternate high-speed future backbone.
Yes, but it is an internet. The internet too is that network that they have created is on internet.
Yes.
But it is not the internet.
But
it is another internet.
It is, however, not necessarily separate from the real internet. In fact, it's a part of the internet. It's just your packets aren't routing over it.
That's right.
Most of the time.
Basically, right? So imagine if, I got a cable modem, right? And Rim's got a cable modem. And we're both on the internet, right? Via our cable modems. But I toss a cable over to Rim's house. Okay, so now our houses are connected to each other.
And we're violating numerous local statutes.
Probably, but whatever. So I set up my router to say, hey, router, if anything is, going to Rim, send it over this wire instead of the internet wire. And then Rim does the same thing on his end. And now that's basically what Internet 2 is like. It's I won't even notice if my packets are going over the, the special Rim wire or the other wire. They might actually go over the Rim wire and then be routed over to the internet. If, who knows what's going to happen with the routing. The point is, that's what Internet 2 is like. You don't even notice that you're using Internet 2 or using Internet 1. It's just your packets get routed over the better Internet 2 wires if you are on Internet 2. So if you're at a college that has an Internet 2 connection, if you visit, say, MIT.edu, your packets are probably going to be going over Internet 2 wires as opposed to Internet 1 wires.
The TLDR version of that, or TLDL, is that most of what is on that internet is pornography, wares, and various copyright violations.
There is a lot of that going on in Internet 2 because someone sitting in their dorm room at one college has some peer-to-peer application. By the way, I found out what the new hot peer-to-peer application is. Yeah.
BitTorrent?
No, it's something else. So, and then someone else will be sitting at a different college, and they'll both load up, I guess the modern equivalent of Direct Connect, or if they're still using Direct Connect, I don't even know.
Oh my God!
Or even BitTorrent.
Direct Connect flashbacks to RIT,
and they'll both start a torrent, and all those packets will get routed over Internet 2 because they're both on Internet 2, and it'll be really fast. That's just how it works. But at the same time, if you want to download an ISO of a Linux distribution, it'll take you 2 seconds.
The best part about Internet 2 was just that it's kind of a self-selected internet. It can be more advanced than the normal internet because smart people are trying out better ways of doing backbone infrastructure. Because remember, the internet with a capital I is just a bunch of networks that are connected, like Level 3, Verizon,
basically
and all these people, Google.
So what's going on here is you can't practice out or do experiments on the real internet because it's the real internet. If you mess up your experiment, you're going to disrupt service for a whole bunch of people. But if Internet 2 service gets disrupted, even the people at the college won't be that
My wares! I'll have to connect to the local Direct Connect that only has 3/4 of all the collected human media of the world.
I can't use Internet 2. I'll have to use the internet instead.
My Counter-Strike ping to California went up from 1 millisecond to 2 milliseconds.
Yeah, it's not a bit, right? So what they do on Internet 2 is
actually, I think 6 is about as good as you could possibly get.
And the reason it's so fast is because they're constantly experimenting on it. If you want to do research on, internet networking, you do it on Internet 2 at some school in the IT department, and you can practice and you can set up new lines and
one example of this
you can try out some IPv6
before the IPv6 rollout. I personally applied for and got a gigantic chunk of the 6 bone, which was the testing network for IPv6, to do a project for a class that I then dropped. Eventually, that expired.
But the point is that it's Internet 2 is.
I had a partner. I don't know whatever happened to his project.
Internet 2 is a place where
where magical things happen.
You can do that sort of thing, and
you can play Counter-Strike
really
with no ping.
Yeah.
RIT had an OC3 that was for the Internet 2, and then an OC3 just for the Internet. And that was back in 2000. I can't imagine what they have now.
I have no idea. Wow, I thought we would have a lot more to say on this.
Well, I do have a lot more to say because the Internet, this is why, I don't want to harp on net neutrality, but this is why net neutrality is so important. The Internet was originally designed partly as a military and science application to be a network that was robust, that it would route around trouble, that everything's kind of connected to everything else, and you can send data, and it gets there without having a direct wire to get there.
Yeah, like, oh, this wire broke. Well, it's good. We got other wires because it's a big web of wires all over the place.
Yep.
As long as it's a path from A to B, it doesn't matter what that path is. As long as we can find some way to complete it, even if it goes all the way around the world to get there, we'll get there.
But there's actually not that much redundancy in the modern internet.
Yeah, the biggest problem is that because everyone has ISPs, right? There's all these single points of failure for large chunks, right? So if your ISP goes down and they say, you're done, right? You have this one focal wire that is carrying all the traffic of Cablevision or Time Warner or Comcast. So on top of that, right, you have another problem, which is, okay, I have a data center, and I know I can't have a single point of failure, so I've got 10 different wires coming in here, right? But at some point, some guy out there, right, if he wants to get to any of those 10 wires, he's got to find a wire going to your town. And all the wires going to your town go through SprintLink or whatever, some, huge backbone like that. And if those backbones, luckily, are really good at staying up. I don't think they've had a major problem in a while.
Actually, I dealt with a major problem last week. I won't name names or anything, but a major provider had a gigantic fire in a tunnel filled with fiber.
Oh, gee, I can't guess who that would be.
And it sucked ass.
But that was a local NYC thing, right? The big backbones.
No, that actually broke connectivity between an NYC thing and a Virginia thing.
Wow. That's pretty
way
good.
big.
But I'm saying is that it wasn't like a fire between New York and
Or look at how many
Virginia.
times the great old ones fight. There'll be gods fighting, meaning two level 2 ISPs will have some sort of bitch fight with each other, and then the internet just gets disrupted.
That's true.
And if there was actually like a major natural disaster, like if New York City got nuked or something crazy, half the internet's just going to stop working.
That's also true.
And I feel like we need more redundancy. We need to get to the new, people always talked about Web 2.0. We need to get to Web 3.0. We need to get to a world, or Web 10.0, where every single device is connected to as many other devices as possible, wirelessly, ad hoc. Like, you've got to have like 10 layers of redundancy. Imagine if we had a world where I've got my wire ISP, right?
Mm-hmm.
And independently, maybe I've got the power line connection that anyone can just connect to. It's slow as shit, but it's there. And the government maintains it or something. Or you pay a small fee to have access to it. And maybe there's municipal Wi-Fi, and I'm also connected to that. And maybe I could pay for another Wi-Fi. I want to have as many ways of connecting to people as possible, such that everyone is publishing and consuming at about equal rates all the time.
Well, that's another problem, right? Is because we're still on IPv4, right? Publishing is difficult because you need an IP address, and there's not so many of them, so you have to get a hosting company.
I would argue it's also difficult because there is a vested interest in many multimedia conglomerates in preventing individual people from having publishing parity with them.
Well, also every hosting company in the world, right? They want you to buy hosting. They don't want you to just turn on a computer in your house and have that be, as good as a data center.
With my Fios, I could pretty much host Geeknights here.
Yeah, there are some people who have good internet connections and they totally do it, and that's the way it should be.
And imagine if everyone did that.
Yeah. Every hosting company went out of business, and anyone who wanted a website just turned a computer on in their house.
Or even better.
And left it on all the time, and their website was on
We've
there.
talked about this before. Imagine a world where your web browser is also a web server.
Well, Opera's doing that.
Yeah, but it's not there.
No.
For obvious reasons.
But as soon as you get IPv6, right, they won't be able to stop you from having a static IP address, right? the DNS, the problem will be solved. You'll be able to just have, whatever.com point at your house where your computers are, and your stuff will be running there, and it'll be all good, right? You won't have to pay for hosting. All the hosting companies will be gone, and, it'll be totally awesome.
But let's talk a little bit about the World Wide Web, because we've done a show on this.
The World Wide Web is not the internet. It's not un-internet. It's not an intranet. And it's not internet too. It's
Penn Jillette and Michael Godot. I know I argued with you about this. You guys are still wrong.
Well, that was a DNS argument.
Yeah, but then I argued with them about www, and they didn't know what it meant. And then I have this stupid email chain.
The World Wide Web is specifically, right, just pretty much HTTP. HTTP is the World Wide Web. And what it is people set up HTTP servers. These are servers that speak the hypertext transfer protocol. Apache is the most popular HTTP server in the world, right? And so if you run an HTTP server, that server is now part of the web. And basically, because every HTTP server can be reached via a URL, you can create links, and people can click a link while they're looking at a page that is served by one server, and their browser will request a page from another server. So from the user's perspective, it looks like there's this connected web of pages, all served by different servers, all in different places
So in
all
a
around
way,
the world.
conceptually, I mean, the internet physically and conceptually is a web of devices that are all interconnected, and there's multiple redundant paths to places, in theory.
Yep.
The World Wide Web is just a metastructure on top of that.
It's not even, on the hardware level, the World Wide Web is not even a web. It's pretty much just all these individual points that are, not connected, except for the fact that their content that is served at each of those points refers to content that is served on other points.
But the beauty of this is that the World Wide Web is nothing more than a meta-construct, an abstract, a protocol. You could have any underlying physical infrastructure. It doesn't matter.
That's
and
true.
Furthermore, because the original World Wide Web was designed really for making pages where words link to other pages about things.
It was also designed, right, to where anyone could edit any page, right? Your HTTP, it's put, post, get, and delete, right? Those are the 4 major commands.
You're pretty much getting 99% of the time.
Pretty much everyone gets. Nobody really ever, you post when you submit a form, right?
Well, I think this is just a matter of
you don't really delete or put anything.
Tim Berners-Lee and all the other geniuses involved in this just were far too forward-thinking.
Yeah, I mean,
they were way ahead of their time.
If what their original vision of the World Wide Web had come to be, would basically be basically everything would be Wikipedia. Everything. And probably even better than Wikipedia.
That would be awesome.
It would be like everyone edit every page everywhere, and that is what the original vision of the web was. But that's not what it turned out to be.
Yep, and there are other, we could go into detail there, but we won't. But basically, the World Wide Web is a meta-construct, and I think that's important because what was the primary tenet of the World Wide Web, even if we ignore the fact that we don't have the editing everywhere? That you link directly to relevant information, and just by the course of humans, you will create useful neural networks of information.
Yeah, the core of the web, really, it was the hypertext, right? That you could have text that links to other text, right? HTTP. And that's what we got. We got text that links to other text.
Oh, but now we've got Flash that you can't link directly into. Oh, we've got people blocking links. You can't hot link and embed shit.
Yeah. Regardless, the web, right, or the World Wide Web really only refers to web pages. It doesn't refer to anything else. So if you think about it, right, the internet also includes pretty much everything else, right? BitTorrents, IRC, IM, email. There are tons and tons of internet applications, right? Things that you do on the internets that are not the web. They're not web pages, and people don't seem to think about those things a lot. And I think part of it is because they do a lot of the things through a web interface.
Which is fine.
Or, when they're not using the browser, they don't realize that they're using the internet. It's
I guess think of it this way.
The internet is the browser. And plus, it's called Internet Explorer. It's, but Internet Explorer, actually, it can go on FTP. It can do a lot of things that are not HTTP. So it is actually sort of an accurate name. It is an Internet Explorer.
Well, there was Gopher.
Gopher was also, it's dead now.
Yeah.
But, it was similar to HTTP, kind of.
Well, anyway, but going back to the web thing, because, we've made all these advances. We're doing all these things on the internet other than the web. But if we just consider the web, we have achieved and realized maybe 1% of the true potential of just text-only hypertext. That alone, we have achieved so little of what is possible with that. All of our laws are not just there, interlinked.
Yep.
All of our public policy, all of our textbooks.
Well, that's just a situation of data, right? Technologically, we've pushed it to the limits. It's just data-wise. We haven't gotten all the data up there. And that's what we really
built
need
this
to do.
conceptual lattice.
And a lot of the data that's been up there has been closed off in various ways.
We built a conceptual lattice and we started putting stuff in it, and then we were distracted by shiny stuff, and we've got this perfectly good lattice that could change the world. And
it did change the world, but it's only changed the world. And the thing is, it can change the world so much, right? It's only changed the world maybe 10% of what it could. But that 10% is gigantic. That's it's 10% of a jillion. So we got 1/10 of a jillion change, which is a gigantic, ginormous change. I know you hate ginormous.
I hate that word so much.
But
because we didn't need it. We have the word enormous. We have the word gigantic.
We could have a 10 times as much ginormous a change.
Where does ginormous fit in the scale? Is it bigger than gargantuan? Gigantic? Enormous?
Is the biggest.
The biggest. Bigger than gargantuan.
Yeah.
Bigger than omnipresent.
Omnipresent is pretty much infinity bigs.
Yeah. So
so it's not that big.
okay. So it's not the biggest.
Well, no, I mean, you can't be, it's like infinity is not the biggest.
Well, yeah,
right?
it is.
No.
That is.
Infinity minus 1 is the biggest.
No, infinity's the biggest because you could be one more than infinity minus one.
But that's one more than infinity.
Which
is infinity? But
what about
one less than infinity is not infinity.
Is infinity minus 10 less than infinity minus 9?
Yes.
By how much?
1.
1?
Yep.
I think we've exhausted this.
Possibly.
Though stay tuned, tech people, because our next Tuesday show, we're actually going to talk about network stuff. Because
in a gaming show.
Yes, all you tech people probably don't realize that the vast majority of games have they don't understand how networks work, and it's starting to become a problem.
Big problem.
This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geeknights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.